Good day everyone, it is Caitlin and today we are making an 1830s dress for a little girl. Welcome! So, we're making a dress today for a little girl. And I actually originally purchased a pattern. It appears that there's only one 1830s girls dress pattern on the market at all. And it's the Sense and Sensibility pattern. 0 out of 10, do not recommend. Completely useless. It does not appear to use period lines. I didn't even pull out the pattern yet. I just looked at the directions and I saw that the skirt was a circle skirt a la 1950s. And I was like, okay, this isn't going to help any. I mean, the bodice isn't awful, but I'm looking at 1830s. I'm looking at the 1830s lines, I'm looking at their lines, and they're really trying to go from more 1840s to 1850s and 60s with this pattern, and it does not work at all for the 30s. Do not recommend. 0 out of 10. So now I'm doing what I should have done before spending the $16 on that pattern, which is just a draft one, because I have the young lady's measurements. So I have a pattern I have drafted here, which will probably eventually be published because I have spent a lot of time on it. But I only have size 10 right now. But there are 3 different bodices now. I have a plain set bodice, a slightly gathered bodice, and a full gathered bodice. All with the short neckline right now, although I am going to do an option with a higher neckline. Because I might as well, if I'm going to make a pattern out of it. Right now we're not worried about that. Right now I'm going to cut out this fabric. So this is a tropical weight wool. And yes, it is super nice and fine, almost sheer. Pretty pink. The young lady I'm making this for loves pink. But yeah, it's very light and it doesn't feel like a wool. Like if anyone came up to me, you would think this is a cotton. It is softer than cotton and a little bit thinner than a Kona cotton actually, but it's a wool. So I did a burn test and everything. But let's see, let's start with her skirt. So I want her finished skirt to be from waist to ankle was about 36.5. I kind of want it finished about 35. I want it just slightly above her ankle because that's where I'm seeing around ankle length or slightly above in the 1830s. It doesn't appear as though the short dresses come into the 1840s. And I also noticed when I looked at the Sense and Sensibility pattern that it did say you wanted about a little over knee length. And I'm like, not for 30s, not for 30s. So I'm very disappointed in that, especially because it's the only pattern I could find for early, romantic period girls patterns. And that's just very sad. We're going to fix that eventually. That might take me time to put together, but it will be out eventually. So yeah, I think I went around 35, so I'm going to cut it 36 because I need half an inch for the hem. We're going to face the hem, and I need half an inch at the top. Actually, no, I need a little bit more because I'm probably going to turn this under. So I need a little bit more. Turn under 2 inches, so let's just cut it at 38. 38, which is right here. And because it's a plain weave, I can rip it. Okay. Oh, there's a needle. And I'm going to do 2 panels. This is about 55 inches in width. So that'll put me about 110, a little bit over actually, which is a good width for her age. We're like 35, 36, so like we're getting towards that higher. And if I was doing earlier 30s, I'd probably want something more closer to 100 inches in width. But that is her skirt. See, no circles necessary. This is not the 1950s. I need to cut one of these panels in half, don't I? Okay then. It's only 2 panels. Okay. I don't usually have to do this because I'm usually using 3. But because I do not want a basically I don't want a seam down her center front. And because this is a back closing dress, if I left it the way it is, that's what would happen. So what we're going to do is, what's the easiest way to do this? Do full panel. No, actually what we might do instead, we'll put the seams at the sides and we'll just make a placket in the back. We can do that. And I think the reason I'm going to do that is because I do want those sides, these seams. Oh, I need to measure that. Okay. Glad I thought about this actually. I need to, let's see, around here. She needs pockets. And so, or she's going to have pockets. And definitely need to, let's do it here. Make a little pocket in the seam. That's easier to do in the seam. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 inches for a pocket. That's not too bad. Probably a little bit more than is needed for her little hand, but that'll work. I gotta go back to the other side and do that too because I think I'm gonna make her a pair of pockets. Why make one pocket when you can have two? There's another needle. I find these everywhere. I never find them when I'm sewing and I need them. But when I don't need them, they disappear. Okay. Alright, so when we're done cutting and all that, our very first step will be sew this together. Alright, now let's find which pattern piece I need. Yes, this is the back and side back combined. Nope, that's not what I need. Gathered. Yes, these are the two pieces I need. I am going to use the non-gathered pattern I made to do the lining. But we're not cutting lining yet. And I'm just going to pin because it's kind of funkily shaped and I want to make sure that I'm cutting two straight pieces. Okay. So the front does need to be on the fold. I'm going to cut that first. Perfect. Right here. Right. I can feel it in, let's go a little bit down. Okay. So this is the pattern that's going to be very gathered at the bottom, but it's not at all gathered at the top. I kind of prefer that to the other way. Alright, let's go ahead and cut this out. Ooh, was I going to add a waistband to this? Because this pattern is not for a waistband. Yes, let's cut it out this way and we'll take out what we need for a waistband. Okay. I've seen a lot of waistbands in the 30s for kids' clothes. I only need one front. I am going to use, if this is at least 25 inches, it is not. Okay. In the scrap bin it goes. I usually cut. This is a Workman's Guide pattern that I'm using. Okay, oops. Quite a bit. Okay, let's pull that up just a little bit more. When I do it this way, I cut two sleeves at once, which is always nice. Okay. That's gonna work. Okay. The goal here is to like get all the fabric, or get all the piece on the fabric, while at the same time not wasting any. Okay. And yeah, this is a really long sleeve, but I want it to be very fully gathered. We're actually going to cut two sleeves technically, because I'm going to cut this short sleeve, and then we're going to cut a long sleeve that she can use for winter that's going to tie into this short sleeve. The scrappy bits can now be turned into a, or two, not really a, but a band. So I believe it's for size 10. Kids are usually, once they're a size, like there's not a lot of fluctuations, you're a size. They're not really shaped like women's bodies, where you have some women who have super long waist or short waist, or super narrow waist and bigger hips, and kids, once they're size, are generally just that size all the way around, which is super helpful. So I think it was like 9 3/4 for the upper arm, and I'm going to say 10 inches for a little bit of ease, which means I need to cut the piece 11 inches because of seam allowance. Perfect. Okay. I want an inch band, so I'm going to cut them 3 inches. Wait, yes, yes. Inch on top, inch on bottom, 1/2 inch seam allowances. I cannot sew this together until I get my lining cut out and my back, so I'm going to cut the back out. It should be this way. It's like, well, that looks weird. Well, that would be because I'm holding it wrong. Okay. It will just barely fit perfect. I love it when things work out that way. Okay. So there's the front and the back. Now I need lining. Alright, so I have here the front all pinned together. Then go ahead and pin on the back. And usually I start with the skirts and do all the running stitches, but I think we're going to start with the bodice and get all the not so fun back stitching out of the way. So what I need to do is a back stitch side seams, shoulder seams. I have 2 cuffs and 2 sleeves. I have not cut out the big sleeves yet, the long sleeves. We might end up doing that at a later date because I really don't need it right now. That and the pelerine. We'll save that for later. I believe there's a 1/2 inch seam allowance that I added on the pattern, so that's what we're going to just about do. I think I'm also going to make my piping while I'll probably do all the back stitching, then make piping, and then we can do all my running stitch stuff, like attaching the piping and doing the gathering thread. And then we'll go back to back stitch because I gotta, back stitch the waistbands on, back stitch sleeves in. So we'll kind of do this by steps. So we'll just do all the back stitching first, move on to all the running stitching, move back to back stitching, and get all the finishing work in. Alright, working on sleeves. I got the bodice sewn together and bottom piping in, but we needed to put the waistband and the other piping in. Pipe the armscye, so I'm ready to put in sleeves. The other sleeve is done and pinned into the armscye. It's just not sewn in. So I'm going to finish this sleeve. It's 3 or 4 days before I need this to be worn, and still other things I need to do. I was hoping to make pockets and a pinafore. We'll see how much that gets done. I think she's going to have to borrow one of my bonnets for the weekend and hope that it's not terribly sized off. Okay. The other sleeve that's sewn in, or pinned in, not sewn yet. Let me find the halfway point for this one. So basically, I think last we got together, I pinned together, it was sewing the sides. Ended up having to take a little bit bigger seam allowance, which I measured for a bigger seam allowance, so I don't know why, I just didn't sew it that way. Ended up having to put some darts in here, just because the girl I'm sewing for isn't a true size 10, she actually has a much smaller waist. She kind of has a little bit of shaping there, so I just put a few darts in there. She's not wearing stays that are going to really give her a lot of shape, but that'll at least help that a little bit. That's just her. Piped neckline, tight bottom. Of course, we have to put the waistband in, as we said. Okay, is that about what it needs to be? Yeah, a little bit more. Then just, of course, evenly distribute gathers. And these will get back stitched in just like we did the bodice itself. So those need to be sewn in. Let's go ahead and pin in the waistband. Might as well do that now. And I'll be sewing it from the other side because I did stitch this on, so I have a line where to do the stitching. So I'm going to pin it on this side. Cut that off a little bit. Cut that just about the right size though, so that's good. Okay, there we go. So that will get sewn in. At which point, we might as well then start the skirt too. Mostly just because I kind of need to get the ball rolling here. So let's go ahead and start that. That'll give me some things to do. I am going to be sitting for a few hours, so I just need to make sure I got everything settled where I have everything filmed, because I can't film where I'm going. And then I have to make sure y'all see the steps so I can get a lot of sewing done. Running stitch. And I'll probably use a little bit of the extra fabric there to face this thing. I'm not entirely sure. I know y'all know whether I got the pockets done or not, because that was last month for y'all, but I'm kind of sewing this kind of all at the same time. So I have no idea if I got the pockets done or not. They're in the middle of being embroidered right now. But I am going to leave the pocket holes just in case I get them done. And also eventually when I do get them done, they'll already be in there. So I've also considered only doing one pocket. And just leaving one pocket hole. I'll make a decision another time. We'll just keep sewing until I decide. I'll probably end up just leaving both holes. Alrighty, so got the waistband sewn on. Working on the piping at the bottom of the waistband. Look at this. I have most of the closure sewn on. I'm just waiting to get this done so that I can finish the last little hook. Alright, for the last few inches, and then we're going to go ahead and whip the bottom edge of the piping down. And just going to whip it down. Trying not to catch the fashion fabric down on this waistband. I'm trying to just catch the lining. You don't see my stitches from the other side. Alright, so I had to finish sewing the piping down, and then we get to stitch it to the skirt, which is already pleated, and we'll be done. So I'm going to wait for another video to do the pelerine and the lower sleeves. I don't need them right now for this event. And we're at the last little bit. Still got some accessories to get through, but we'll see. Hoping to get it all done. I have one more day to sew, and then I need to be driving the next day. So, I really have one more day. I think I got this done early enough to where I can probably work on that tonight. So there we go. Move this over, we'll turn it inside out, get a good look at it. Oh, look at how cute that is. It's adorable. I haven't quite decided whether I'm going to make sleeve supports or not. I might. I haven't quite decided. I mean, most of the images I'm seeing of young girls, they have the poofy sleeves. It doesn't seem like they're wearing anything inside of them. They're kind because they're droopy. But I think if we push this all the way up and let it kind of just poof out on its own, that's what I'm seeing when I'm looking at accent paintings. So I think that's what we're going to try to do. And if nothing else, I'll stuff it with something for the time being and make sleeve supports later, but I don't think I need them. But full gathered front without having the top gathered. And here's the back. I just did 4 hooks and eyes. There we go. And it looks really long, but I think it'll be fine. She's a tall young lady, so it would make sense. And if nothing else, you know, when I get there Friday, if it does end up being too long, I'll just take a tuck. I'd rather it be too long than too short. Let's just leave it at that. But it is absolutely adorable. I know she's going to love it because her favorite color is pink. So she gets to borrow it until she grows out of it, and then I'll use it for display purposes and educational purposes. And one day, maybe my daughter will wear it. And of course, anyone else in the Texas Living History community who needs a kid's dress and happens to fit into this one and all the other clothes we made, they get a dress until a big kid grows out of it. So that is a lovely dress. I mean, it's just so adorable. I am so looking forward to this film. I'm looking forward to being a part of it. Looking forward to go hang out with friends this weekend. And I'm really, really excited to see my little friend all dressed up in this. It's going to be adorable. She's absolute sweet, precious, beautiful little girl. And I can't wait to see her in this. I know she's going to love it. So I'm super excited about it. Anyway, next month, well, it'll be tonight and tomorrow for me, but next month for you, we'll make the accessories. I'm thinking pinafore. I think she needs a coral necklace. That's a very common thing for kids. And quite possibly a handkerchief and just little things like that she just might need. So we're going to get those done, and then we'll be done with the 1830s kids. I've considered doing the same thing, but for 1850s and 60s. We're gonna see. I don't quite know whether we're gonna do that or not. But with all that being said, thank you so much for joining me today as we made our little 1830s girls dress. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. We mostly do women's clothes and sometimes men's clothes, but occasionally we do kids' clothes too. Mostly for the 1820 to 1870 time range, although we do kind of go outside of that every once in a while. And if you like that kind of content, please consider subscribing to the channel, like the video, comment. I enjoy comment. I'm at the point where I can still reply to every comment that's made, and I really do enjoy hearing from everybody. And with all that being said, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here on Monday.